All right. Welcome, everyone. So today we have another talk with you about what the performance review process is going to look like. So as you know, we're planning to have this performance review done in July. We will give you the calendar after this meeting so that we can prepare for this performance review. So what is the performance review process? Some of you probably already been in this performance review. However, there are some updates that we've made to this process. So what is this guide for? It's to help you understand what the performance review is, how it looks now after some changes that we did, detail what's the timeline for the performance review, and give you tips and tricks on how to do a better performance review. Why do you want to make performance reviews? What's the need? As our organization grows, we need to find a way to continue to engage one-on-one with our collaborators. We need to have a way to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. And we need to make sure that everyone's achievements are being recorded and recognized. So the important about the performance review is not just about see how our mentees are doing. It also gives us an opportunity to do a checkpoint, like let's say a moment to reorganize all the work that we've done in the past semester, and try to see what have we accomplished as as a mentor and mentee, and what else can we do for the next 6 months. So it's, let's say, like in American football, how they make this team meetings before starting the next the next play. That's what we're doing. So we're going to regroup, try to see where we are and what we need to do next. It helps us to keep a structure to make sure that we are raising concerns and or identify untapped talent. We've as we started doing this pilot, we realized that there are some people who have other interests, or they're interested in following or pursuing other opportunities within the company, or that they have talents that were not identified when they were hired. So we want to make sure that we use this moment to reflect on those and try to see if we are not, that we have talent that we could possibly we could be helping to grow faster in the organization by giving them better opportunities. And also, we want to make sure that if there's any major concern that our mentee has or that we identify as part of the performance review, that we take this opportunity to make a more targeted communication to leadership, so that we make sure that those are being addressed. It helps us track concise and measurable goals to help our mentees to keep growing professionally. What this means, of course, in your one-on-ones, you've had different, you set different goals with your mentees. So in the performance review, it's a moment where we reflect on those and what we did as, as a team, as a couple, as a team of mentor mentee to reach those goals. It helps us reflect on how much we've worked on and what is the next step. So it just gives us a reminder. Perhaps we weren't able to do as much as we expected, and to say, all right, perhaps we need to tighten up the schedule for these kind of goals. So this is like a checkpoint to make sure that we're doing this. Now, before we go to the next question, in the next part, there's something I want to be very clear on the goals part. So what's the idea behind these goals? I remember when I was in other companies where they had these kind of performance reviews, they would always tell us, like, you need to set up your goals and you need to have at least 3, or you have to do it before X date. They were pressuring us to set up these goals. But really, I didn't even know what the goals I had to set up were for, and I didn't know what was the point of them. So the idea that and I want to take a little time to explain this part, because this is a very important that defines the success of our mentorship program. So we want to make sure that the goals that are being set are not only realistic and that are really come from our mentee, but to make sure that they are actual goals that help them grow as persons. We are not very interested on setting super, forced goals. Like I remember one of my companies, they tried to say, you know what, I want you to add these goals that are from this project to your personal goals. I mean, that's not the point of this. We want them, for example, we want them to understand that these goals are more of how can I help you grow into the professional that you want to be, rather than a requirement that the company has for you to feel there. Because if we force them to just set an X number of goals, they will just put anything there, anything that is to feel the requirements that their company is asking them to do. And we don't want that. We want to actually do a reflection process where they tell us how can we help them become better professionals. So we need to do a shift here into a more human perspective to make sure we're addressing that. So later we will have probably we're going to have a talk on what and these goals and what's the objective of them, so that we can help you better understand what's the philosophy behind this. So the performance review is the way it's designed. It's handled in a three point process, and it's really it's going to be happening in three different meetings that you're going to set up with your mentee that are going to be like the milestones during the performance review. So these three meetings are performance review start ceremony. In this performance review start ceremony, it shouldn't be longer than 10 minutes. It's where we're going to show the format that we're going to use, that we're going to show in a minute. We're going to explain to our mentee or remind them if they already did this, how they're supposed to fill it, and to invite them to do a self-evaluation of their current position and how they measure against the next position they can aspire to do. This is very helpful, not only because it helps them do a self-evaluation on what we expect as a company to feel in the role, but also so that they know what skills they need to the next step. And that's a very important part, because from there, we could have new goals that we can create to achieve them. So not only we're helping them reflect on that, we're from this tool, we're gonna have new goals they can work on as professionals. The second meeting will be a 10-minute meeting with the lead. And this is a meeting we as mentors are gonna have with their lead. If you remember when we were talking in the one-on-ones, I mentioned that part of the one-on-one should be to track who their current lead is. And the reason for that is exactly this point. So that we know who they worked on during the semester and who we should contact to get that feedback. So here's where the tricky part comes. So we understand that not everyone, there's a lot of people who are in different projects, or they could be participating in more than one projects at once, and they're going to have more than one lead. So in this meeting, we either choose the project they work on the most, or they spend the most time, or we may decide that we want to contact their leads if you think it's relevant. So and the idea behind that is that we gather the input from the leads, and we ask the good and the bad, and we review the sheet with them. And it's supposed to only be also a very small short meeting where we just review the format that we're gonna show in a minute, and they tell us if they're ready or not for what they're all the different skills that we're gonna show. And the third one is an assessment meeting. After we had that meeting with their lead or leads, we will come back with our mentee and talk to them like, you know what, this is the feedback that you did in the self-evaluation. This is the evaluation that we got from your leads. Let's talk about them. So it could be, there will be scenarios where, of course, the lead, the mentee said, I'm ready for this. I think I have the skill. And the lead says, no, I don't think they do. So you will talk with your mentee and try to understand what the discrepancy was about. And you could decide that the discrepancy was probably something that was for a personal reason. It could be because they really didn't see that that was happening, and we probably want to set a new goal for that. Or let's suppose that a clear example is that I got in one of my in some other place. My mentee, they thought they were very good at explaining a feature. They swear that they were so good at documenting how a feature worked. But when we got their feedback from the leads, they all told me, you know what, he does a lot of documenting, but we don't really understand the documentation. I mean, it's not about the quantity, it's about the content. I mean, it's not readable. We don't understand what it means, and no one really understands the content. So if you see, it's not that they don't do it, it's just that nobody had the heart to tell them that what they were doing could be better. And it's not a bad feedback. It's a feedback that we were told, and we can work on that. And perhaps we can set a new goal. You know what? Let's work on uh, creating more effective documentation, for instance. And that comes from the performance review. Of course, if you can see here, it's like an example calendar that we could do. Considering that you have more than one mentee. If you can see, you can have I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but you could have a ceremony and this, it's Monday, your mentee, have this another ceremony on Tuesday, another ceremony on Wednesday. Has the assessment. Well, this needs to be updated. You could have the meeting with their leads in this week, in the same week after having the ceremony with your mentees. And the next week, you could have the assessment with your mentee. This calendar, so it's outdated. I need to update it. But basically, the order would be this: the performance review ceremony, the 10-minute meeting with lead or leads, and the assessment meeting. You could decide how to do it. You just have to make sure to be within the boundaries of the timeline that we have for this. This is how the performance review sheet looks like, and we're going to see a real example of this in Confluence. Let me just open up Confluence real quick. All right, so let's review this. Let's see, performance review templates. Let's suppose it's engineering. Consultant 3. So what we would do is we would copy this template into the folder. And in this particular scenario, I would suggest that we do give access to our mentee and to edit. You can say here, only specifically click on edit, say you, and I will add my mentee here so that they can see this page and edit it. As you can see, this is for you who has not seen this before. This page is separated into parts. This is the left part where it's the current role they have, and this is the next step in their career in the next level. The way we see this, you can see that we have 4 different columns. For this first review, we are not expecting you to have this previous column filled, so it's okay, we don't fill it. But after the next cycle, we would need this. The first step is having the self-evaluation, and what this means is we're going to ask our mentees to feel and to take a look at these skills, and all they have to do is to tell us if they think this is still in progress, or we can put here a red, or if they think they already do it and they just have it done. Give me 1 second, please. Just 1 minute, please. I need to look at something. After they do that, the next step would be you tell them, you know what, in that ceremony that we had, we will tell them, if you could please fill this self-evaluation for the current role that you are in, and the next, what is for the next level. And for this, it's a way where they can see how they're doing in the current role, and what are the expected skills that they require for the next role. We would give them some time, perhaps a week or so, to do it. Of course, we need to set a deadline for this, so that when we come back with the result for the lead, we can start comparing them. So what the suggestion is that we give them a couple of days, perhaps 2 or 3 days, to fill the self-evaluation, and tell them, you know what, you have until, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday to do that, and then we go to the lead to ask for their input. Once they do this, then we go to the second part where we go ask for their leads input. What we need to do is we will have the meeting. Of course, this has to be after they did the self-evaluation, and we will do the same, but this time with the lead. So, you know what, do you think they're filling this role? Yes or no? Honestly, the first thing I did at first, I would just say click green or red, and later I would, if I wanted, I'll do the text. So, you know, they do this, they don't do this. If they don't do this, it's important that we do any annotations that we think are relevant here in the notes section. And we do the same for the current role and the next role. So it has to be a very quick meeting where we say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And when this is done, after we get the feedback from the lead, we're done. That's a part of this, and that we end the second part. After we end the second part of getting the lead's input, then we go back with our mentee when we have this grid, either with both of them being in agreement or where we have some disagreements. And then we can start talking about all the talking points that we have. If and both of us as a team, we will start saying, you know what, does this has to be, do you really think you're doing it? If you think you're really doing it, of course, let's say, right, we may be in agreement. So, all right, let's say that it's a yes, even when there's a discrepancy here. Sometimes, and what is very common, is that sometimes they don't think they're actually doing it, even when they're already doing, or they're just being shy by saying that they are. Or it could be the other way around. They actually think they're doing it, but we have a different feedback that we need to talk about it. We need to say we need to create a new goal for the next semester, or we just decided, right, this is still something we need to work on. We do this for both the left side and the right side. And after we're done, we could also come down here and just track if they have any accomplishment that they did it for their projects that we need to look.
We lost you for a moment, Oscar. We lost
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Oh, you lost me. Yeah. So if they have any accomplishment that we need to make sure that we want to raise with leadership. If they have, again, like you did in the one-on-ones, if there's any, they have any initiatives that they have in the company, they started a book conversation, a book club, or an English conversation club, that we need to make sure to, as a company, so we need to recognize the work that we've been doing. Any positive feedback that we got from their from the leads, and you say, hey, where's the negative feedback? Well, we already fill it here in the notes. That's if we have any negative or positive feedback, we would add it here in the notes. And then we would ask if they have any particular expectation on this performance review. Actually, I want to remove this. It's not, we don't want to do this anymore.
I can't hear you, Oscar.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. We want them to tell us if they have any particular expectation on this performance review. Why do we ask this question? We want to make sure that we are addressing everyone's concerns, and we understand that some people may think that they are not being compensated adequately, and if that's the case, we cannot guarantee that this performance review will end up in a promotion or a bonus, but we need to know this to so that we can raise that information up to management and explain to them that this is, this person, they tell us that they expect a raise or they want some kind of compensation, or they tell us that they probably are looking somewhere else, and that's something we want to make sure to capture here, so that we keep track of that. And also we can use this goal section, and the way this works is we will write down here the goals that we did in this in this semester, and if we completed it or not, and what's going to be the next set of goals that we will set for our mentee. Now, these goals, this is an important part. These goals, it's very likely they're going to come from the achievements and the talks that we had. If we decided that here on the able to recognize the communication style themes, we may decide, you know what, perhaps we need to give you training on how to read people's emotions, or I don't know, something. It could be a technical skill that they need to improve, or something like that. And that can immediately become a goal that we track here, and they can start tracking in their goals format that we have for the one-on-ones. Once we finish this, what's next? Until this moment, do we have any questions?
Hey, Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great what you're doing, but I think this is very convoluted. I mean, it's very complex to follow. There's information in multiple places, like the goals are in 2 different places. I think we should simplify this. I know that's not the purpose of the meeting, but and maybe I'm the only one that thinks this way. And if that's the case, I mean, please
No,
say
really,
so.
I second that. Completely agree with you.
Yeah, this is way too complex.
That's a very good feedback, and this is something also that I wanna share with the team, and it's great. And this is a process. The mentorship program is something that is live. It's something's alive, and that we as mentors we're gonna build. So of course we can.
But it should be the opposite
this
way. We should start small and grow instead of start complex and change.
What?
Anyway,
yeah, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean with that?
We should start small. We should start with, for example, the goals are in multiple places. We should start with having the goals in just one place and maybe just reference them to where they should be. If you scroll down,
yeah,
please. Positive feedback is also in multiple places, like it's in notes and it's in positive feedback. The company initiatives, that's also in the one-on-ones, and it's here. The accomplishments are also in the one-on-ones, and that's here. There's duplicate information. You say there, can you scroll up a little bit? Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, that's fine. And then you said that we need to fill it out and then talk to the mentee, and if he disagrees, we do something else. If he agrees, we do something different. I feel that we need a workflow diagram of everything that needs to happen, and it's going to be probably like 60. No, I'm exaggerating. Probably like 40 steps, but that would help me know what you expect me to do.
Right. Okay. Let me continue with the what we see for this process, and we can come back to see how we can make it better for you. Okay.
Not better, simpler.
Yeah, simpler. I mean, just find a way we can make it simpler. This I don't know if some of you already worked with this format before, but this has
Oscar,
been.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to make sure that I understand, the first meeting, the start ceremony, that it's going to be like a auto evaluation, and in this first meeting, we're going to have like the self evaluation, like the first part. Then we're going to go with the leads, and then the assessment meeting from 1 hour is when we're going to check like the two things, right? Like the auto evaluation and the lead evaluation with the mentees.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's exactly right. So the idea is that then the third one you talk about the agreements and the disagreements, and then just write down what were those agreements here. So the way we envisioned this was a way where we could just have like a brief version of what happened in the past semester, like all the projects they work on the positive feedback that we got as in general, and the goals that we're presenting. And the reason, and there's a reason for this. Give me 1 second, please.
Carlos, what do you think can be improved? I mean, you also have the same concerns I have. Do you have anything specific in mind that could be improved?
Not in mind right now, but I was thinking that I just say it's convoluted. It's just too much information, too much happening at the same page. I don't think we need to have everything. First of all, I don't think we need to have everything. And secondly, I don't think we need to have it just one page. We could just keep it simple. Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna have a 10-minute meeting where I need to get a couple of things, just ask a couple of questions. Let's just have a page for that. Just 3, 4
Right.
fields. That's it.
Right. Yeah, because one thing, the performance review is one thing, and defining the goals is a different thing, right? I mean, they shouldn't go together. I mean, they could go together, but we can, like you said, we can meet with the mentee for 10 minutes, do a performance review, and maybe in the next one-on-one, we define the goals.
Right. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to do everything together at the same moment. I mean, we are not assigning the database. We just needed to make it easy to read. That's it.
That's very very good feedback. We probably want to talk that for the next cycle, but I don't
For
know.
this cycle, I mean, I really feel that we need to make improvements before this go live. This goes live. And again, if I'm the only one that feels that way, please disregard what I'm saying. But if not, I'm not the only one, then please consider what I'm mentioned.
Yeah,
what we
we
mentioned.
will definitely take this back. Want to review this with leadership. I think it's very important feedback that you just pointed out. Let us talk about this with them, and we will get back to you with some answer. Okay.
When do you think you can get back to us?
I will try to do this week, and hopefully before the end of the week, I will give you some answers.
Okay. And sorry for asking like for dates. I just want to make sure that we know when to expect changes.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, this is something that we want to do very soon, and we want to make sure that it's very polished for the go live. So, and all of your comments are very valuable, and we definitely want to take a look at what we can do to improve this. All right, so let me go back to the presentation. to explain what is next. At the end, even if we decide to change that format, there's at the end of all this, we are not going to send this format to leadership. This is something that we use as a to document or to structure or process with the mentee. But at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to send a very small format with to leadership. We're going to send that to me directly, and the only reason you're going to send it to me is just to gather them, because then I'm going to, in turn, I'm going to send this to the leadership team to review, where you will tell us when was the assessment done, what's the cycle that this belongs to, who's a mentor, who's a mentee, to see if their mentee is expecting any promotion or pay increase, and what's the assets that you did with the mentor. And this is something important I want to say. Even when you tell us, I mean, we're going to take into account this, but if you tell us that they are ready for promotion, you're telling us that we need to consider them as part of promotion. But of course, you know that we need to go back and assess how that ties to the organization plan, and if we're ready to do this. So we will review every particular case and then decide if that's the case. Now, this sounds like it's going to be the economic checkpoint that we mentioned, but really it's not. If you notice, this is going to be something that's going to happen twice a year, each semester. But really, all the compensations and all the promotions that we do them often. Often that more faster than that. That's what I meant. We do that in the quarterly meetings that we have, of course, in every quarter. So they made announcements before even doing this performance review, and that's something that we want to do. We want to make sure that it's in everyone's mind that this review is really to review how they're doing and how we can help them get better. And it could or may not mean that they will get some kind of compensation or recognition. And of course, if you think there's something else that we need to make sure to highlight with management, we can write it down here and we send this report. At the end, really, this is just a worksheet that we created for you so that you can have that guide. Because if you remember, you asked, hey, but how do I know what I need for the next level? In the left side, you said, if you are a consultant one, these are the set of skills that we expect a consultant one to have. And these are the set of skills that we expect for a consultant two. And that's the way you know. For example, you see here's a difference. It says work to bring technical ideas to work from everyone. But here we are expecting them to be able to flow between projects. So this worksheet is a way of telling you what is the difference between the role that they're currently in and what's the skills that we expect them to have if they want to aspire to a next level. So this is that's how we help you as mentors to have that visibility of what is required. If not, then you would be in the dark and not know what you need to work on. So the idea of this if we decide to change this, that we need to make sure to understand that this is not sent to management. This is not sent to review. This is something, it's a tool for you to better understand what is needed for the next level. And we prepare that for every level. Have it here? Do we have it here? I don't think I do anymore. Yeah, but if you go back here, let me see if I open a new page. And the idea that we had is that we will create that for every level. Where is this? So it's the templates.
Oscar, just one thing there. The main goal is just like a quick recap about what we're talking about. The main goal is actually to fill out the performance review based on their level of expertise and everything, just as you mentioned. The only thing that we're still thinking of is the format that you share, not in the one from Confluence, the document that you share that is called name and T performance, like the outcome, that one. Yes, this is actually very important, but as well is very kind of delicate on how we share this kind of information or how we get the information from the mentee. Specifically, the question that mentioned, is the mentee expecting a promotion or a pay increase? That is something that we will need to discuss before us as the mentors with our own mentors, in this case with leadership. Why? Because of course there will be a lot of mentees that probably will be expecting a promotion, but the promotions are going to be still managed by management. So in this case, I would highly recommend that if you're going to share this information, of course, not to quite go directly with your mentee and ask this question like straightforward, because that could actually generate expectations that to the mentee that we don't know if that's going to be accomplished or not yet, because that's based in a decision from management. So I will highly recommend that if you have, I don't know, a mentee that you know that probably it's that you can recommend for a promotion or something, you can manage that your own and not share it to your mentee, and you can actually discuss with your mentor about which of your mentees or mentees, if there's more than one, that you would recommend for a promotion, but not share this quiet information with your actual mentee. I don't know if I made myself clear.
Kind of, but I mean, I understood what you said, but if you ask me to repeat what you said, I
Yes.
wouldn't be able. I mean, it's convoluted. And I just want to mention one thing, Paulina. I don't feel comfortable discussing. I know you said that we shouldn't ask them, but I don't feel comfortable like digging into whether the mentee expects a pay increase or not. As a mentor, I don't want to talk about money at all. I mean, I don't feel comfortable discussing raises or.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. You shouldn't be actually discussing anything about this with your mentees. This is something more like you as a mentor. If you think it's more about like management would like to hear about you as a mentor, like an opinion, not that you will actually discuss that with your mentee.
Well, that's not what the question says. It says, is the mentee expecting a promotion? That implies that we previously talked about pay increases. And maybe
that's what we want to avoid. We don't want you to talk to your mentees about a promotion or a payment increase or something.
The reason this question was added, and I think that's a good feedback on and a good point. We probably can remove it from the performance review format, but I can guarantee you 100% that the mentees are going to ask the question during the performance review. And the reason for that is because traditionally that's what performance reviews are
right. And I totally agree. But the thing is, the mentors are not like involved actually in the promotions or the payment increase. You as a mentor can say, oh, don't worry. If you have any kind of question or anything, you can go ahead directly to leadership, or I can share your comments, but I do not have that information on my hand, so I can give you like a proper answer to that.
So we can remove the, and I think it's a fair and thank you for your honesty, Rodolfo. I think that's important. We can remove it from the performance review, but at least we want to make sure that we capture that in a format. And the reason for that is we want to know if there's someone who doesn't feel good with their on that idea for behind it was to make sure that we know or we track if someone is has concerns about their current payroll. At least know that they told us that they're looking for something, because if not, we have a lot of people who have expectations that they really need it, or they're really looking for more payment. And if we don't have a way to know that, we're probably going to end up losing them.
Well, doesn't everybody expect a pay increase?
Yep. I mean, that's the point, right? So everyone does, but if they bring it up in the performance review, we could just take a note of that and just add it to the
I have a question. How can we manage if for example, one mentee asks us, I want a salary payment increase or something, or a promotion. What do I need to get it? Or how can we manage if they actually want this promotion and ask us the way to get it, or what do they need to accomplish that?
That's a great question.
Oscar,
Paulina,
I
what do
think
you
I can
think?
answer that. We should separate performance review from salary reviews.
Yeah, definitely. These are not, and that's the thing. These are not economic checkpoints. And that's we understand it's going to be complicated because of how performance reviews are traditionally managed, where that's where they normally tend to be. And this is what we need to separate in this particular scenario for Simpat. We don't want them to think that because we're doing a performance review, it will immediately mean a promotion. However, if the reason we'd want to do this is to at least make sure we're tracking everyone's achievements and concerns and bringing them to management. And by doing this, all these formalities, we make sure this is a moment where management will take a time to review everyone's cases and make sure we're not missing something.
And Vanessa, to answer your question, I would be very upfront with the mentee from the beginning and tell them that this is a performance review, not a salary review.
Okay.
If they still want to
Yes.
know.
Oh, go ahead, Rodolfo, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Paulina.
Yes, just like a quick recap, guys, I wouldn't recommend at all to talk about raises or promotions because that will put you like a kind of in a spot that you wouldn't be able to actually kind of manage. Of course, you will need to talk to leadership or something. So I would highly recommend just to, if the mentee actually asks something about a promotion or tells you right away, I'm expecting a promotion because of this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can go ahead and put that on your notes, but I wouldn't recommend to ask the mentee right away that kind of questions because that will put you on the spot. And of course, the performance review is going to help us as a team, as a company to see who's more eligible for a promotion or something to management is going to help that, but no, it's not going to be just based on that. So it's like the promotions and pay raises, of course, are more. Of course, management takes a lot of initiatives, and part of it is a performance review, but not just that it. So that's why these performance reviews are going to be helping, and the main goal is just of the performance reviews is to check, of course, or like the areas that we can grow, and of course recognize the people that are already achieving their goals. So basically that's pretty much it. And for the people that already achieved their goals, well, they are going to be eligible probably for a promotion, but that's going to be managed by a different team. So don't worry about it. Don't take it too much like pressure into it. Just see it as how us as a mentors, we can help our mentees based on the performance review. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if someone else would like to add something.
No, all clear. Thank you.
All right, so let's continue the presentation, but we can of course continue this conversation at the end. And again, so performance reviews are checkpoints to get feedback from the mentee on their career. Everyone will have a performance review, and it won't always mean that a promotion or bonus should be expected. And listen to your mentee. Make sure that they have a sympathy. If you feel otherwise, you may need to raise a concern. In this case, we have JC here, who will, if you as a mentor think or you have a concern about your particular mentee that you think needs immediate attention, you can contact JC to get that feedback, and he will be able to channel it properly. So some tips to get you started, regardless of the format that we just mentioned, set up your mentee's performance review sheet at least 1 week in advance. So take a look at what you need to fill. Make sure that you have all the data that you need before you do, like the lead's name, If there's anything else, like they feel their goals, if they still haven't done it, make sure that you have everything at least 1 week in advance. And then set up the 10-minute meetings with the leads to gather feedback as soon as you finish meeting with your mentee, so that you can have those conversations in the week where these performance reviews are happening. Before the end of your meeting, make sure to have at least one goal set up for the next cycle. Of course, as we mentioned, as part of reviewing all the points that we review in the sheet, there are going to be some points where we can do better as mentees, and we can use them to start, so that we don't start with a blank uh, set of goals. So from the sheet itself, we can start setting up some goals. And I think that's all I have for the presentation for now. Now, before we wrap up this part, this is important, and that when we were reviewing this sheet, I told you that you were going to get some feedback here that we had in the notes, and it's a great starting point, because as we mentioned, these new skills that they need to have, that we're going to bring us some new skills that we need to work on and help them. For example, if they now need to create a new presentation and they don't know how to do them, or they don't know how to do effective presentations, we can start giving them links to, I don't know, TED Talks or something that we can help them to achieve them. So let's suppose that they say that now they want to do a presentation, or mentee tell us that they're not very good at presentations, or they feel, they're afraid with doing a presentation, or they feel fear when they're being confronted with questions. Then we need to find a way to help them overcome those fears.
That would be as long as the mentor is an expert in those topics. That,
of course,
pretty sure.
And that's important. That's very important what you mentioned, because as we mentioned, the mentor team, we're a team, and we don't expect all of you to be wizards who know everything, right? But of course, as a team, we probably know who has those skills. So if you know someone who's very good at doing presentation with clients, uh, it's very probable that within the mentorship team, there's someone who can do it, and you can definitely set up a call with them or something. So you're not alone. You know what I mean?
Hey, Oscar, I have a suggestion, and this is going to be the last thing that I say in this call.
No, please go ahead.
The idea from the mentorship program is that the mentor gathers information from the leads. But did you consider doing it the other way around? What do I mean by that? Having the lead get the mentorship, the lead get information from the mentor, and have the lead do the performance review. Because the lead knows more the employee than the mentor.
Yeah, there's a problem that we discussed this when we were designing this, and there's a problem of bias. What do I mean by this? First, it will be super complicated, because you could probably you're going to have in a semester perhaps more than one lead, so you're going to have 2 or 3 leads who are going to start.
That's not. I mean, that could happen, but me being in 3 projects, that's usually one lead is the main lead, and the developer, I mean, from my experience at Simpat, right? I don't know all the projects, but from my small experience at Simpat, usually one lead is the main lead, and the other lead is the developer is just kind of helping the other project every now and then, nothing very meaningful. Somebody working in 2 projects, I mean, I would love to know someone that can work at 3 projects at the same time. I mean, that's, wow. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is you're probably going to need more, and the example that you mentioned, right? Let's suppose that you're in your main project, you're doing well, but the task that you were assigned is, I'm talking from the developer point of view, right? Like they just do the work they need to do. They have their stories, they work on them, they do very fast, they work very fast, and they do it, and that's it. But on one of the other side projects that you mentioned, they probably help, and what they did actually helped save the project, and what they did actually save that we were able to deliver something that they wouldn't be able to do it without them. If we don't hear that part, we only hear what this one lead and the main project did, we're probably missing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I could argue that leads talk to each other and they are aware of performance issues when one developer is not performing as expected in one project. I know, I mean, leads should be aware of that.
Right. And the problem with that is that then you would have to combine all the leads for every mentee and to see who you have to have calls with for every mentee, right? Whether in this case, it will be the mentor who will be coordinating that. And the second reason that we mentioned was the bias part of that. So let's suppose that your lead does not like you personally, because that's something that happens.
At Simpat?
It could, I mean, it shouldn't be a case, and we hope that's never the case, but it can happen. I mean, regardless of we treat each other as family, it could be the reason that you don't have a very good, you don't see yourself eye to eye. You being very polite, you are being really nice to the mentee, but personally, and it's real, it's something real. Some people just don't like some of their the people they work with, but just deal with them. You know what I mean? So they're not very they may be biased in giving that feedback, and this is how we make sure that that the reason why the mentor is someone who is not their lead is to make sure that we are listening to different parties and make sure that they are there's no bias there. Because at the end, if it ends being the decision of the lead, then what's the point of giving them a third party, a neutral third party to help them with this? But of course, I mean, I get your point. I know where you're coming from. But I think that should be a separate discussion that we could have in another meeting, and it definitely needs to. We definitely need to talk about it because I think it's very valuable. But yeah, we really want this to be something that is a discussion between the mentor and the mentee, without with other parties being other than just people giving you feedback.
Okay.
But really, if you have any other question, please bring them. I think you're bringing a lot of value with all the feedback you're giving. So don't feel that like we're disregarding it. Please continue to do so. I think this gives us a great discussion point that I'm definitely going to set up something with leadership to discuss this, because I think there's some points that we need to polish, and we're definitely going to take everything you're telling us, and we're going to do something about it. So thank you, and we're going to review this.
Sure, no problem.
Does anyone else have any other question or feedback or concern that you want to mention here?
Guys, I think we will just need to wrap it up, as there are some guys that are going to be joining us for a Tech Talk. So I think we can go ahead and discuss this in another meeting, okay?
Or in the chat. Thank you.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great day.
You too.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Oscar.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.